Hello, this is a section 3 question of health and maths. Let's try to solve this first. Health and maths is okay. So let's read this question first. Health and Maths is a fitness center offering pay-as-you-go gym facility. It has fully fitted gym with the capacity to accommodate 200 users at one time, and it also has 100 car parking spaces and an on-site cafe, both of which are only for customers using the gym. The fitness center has shower facilities for customers, and Health Nuts provides all customers with a clean towel to use on entry. It opens 360 days a year. Customers pay $8.4 for access to the gym for 1 hour plus unlimited time in cafe. If the customer wants to use the car park, they have to pay an additional $1 per visit, and 80% of the visits 80% of the visiting customers use the car park. Health Nuts has been monitoring the number of customers attending throughout each day for the month of June, which was considered to be an average month, and for which Health Nuts was open for 30 days. It has determined that the average number of customers per day is 330, with 40 of these customers attending during the time 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The total customers of the fitness center for June, excluding the cafe, have also been recorded as fixed cost 48,000. Variable cost per customer is $1.2 on average. Half of the customers also use the cafe in June, with an average spending of customer 2.2. Of this spend, 60% is related to drinks, which have a profit of 60%, and the remainder is related to food items, which have a profit margin of 40%, and the specific fixed cost associated with running the cafe is $3,600 for the month. Crash proposal. After reviewing all the above information, the manager of Health Nuts has put together a proposal to close the cafe and the fitness center and convert it into a creche for children. This would mean that the parents could leave their children in creche while they use fitness center between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. only. The charge for the creche would be 4 per child per hour. Initial research suggests that customers have an average of 2 children each. The creche is expected to attract a new customer and increase the average number of customers between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. by 300%. Only these new customers will use creche. Car park usage is expected to continue to be 80%, and the fixed cost with running the creche are expected to be 8,000 per month. The variable cost is 0.5 per child and per hour. Okay, so the very first part is asking us calculate the number of customers Health Nuts needs to break even and the margin of safety as a percentage of month for gym and cafe. Okay, so let's start with the first part. Over here we will first calculate for the gym. Now it is asking us to find the break even and the margin of safety. So the formula for break even point is fixed cost upon contribution per unit. Fixed cost has already been given 48,000, but contribution per unit we need to find. In contribution we need to find the selling price. Selling price is the customer would pay 8.4 per dollar, and if the customer wants to use the car park, they have to pay additional $1, and 80% of the visiting customers would use the car park. So the selling price would be 8.4 plus 80% of $1, that is 8.4 plus 0.8, and so the selling price would be 9.2. We did not multiply this by the number of customers because we need to find contribution per unit. I think this is the selling price, sorry. Now what will be the contribution? It will be 9.2 minus the variable expenditure, which is 1.2. So the variable cost is 1.2. The contribution is 8, and we have the break-even point for gym as 48,000 divided by 8, 6,000. So these are 6,000 customers. At 6,000 customers, the break-even point for gym will be achieved. Similarly, we need to find it for, but now we need to find the margin of safety as well. Margin of safety will be calculated by budgeted sales minus the break-even point. Are they asking us to find it in terms of percentage? Yes. So this will be divided by budgeted sales into 100. And so our budgeted sales are, we'll have to find them out. It says that, okay, the average number of customers are 330 per day, with 40 of these customers attending during, okay, this is irrelevant, so the relevant information is 330, and for 30 days they are coming. So the budgeted sales will be 330 into 30 minus break-even point upon 330 into 30 into 100. So 330 into 30 is 9,900 minus 6,000 upon 9,900 into 100. This is 3,900 upon 9,900 into 100. 3,900 upon 99. So I will get 3,900 upon 9,900 into 100 as 39.4%. So this is my margin of safety. Now for I have to calculate the same things for cafe as well. For cafe, let me calculate the selling price. On an average, half of the customer also used cafe in June, with an average spend per customer as 2.2. So if the average spend is 2.2, of this 60% related to drinks, and which have a profit margin of, so the cafe charge will be split into drinks and food items, because they are charging profit margin of 60% on drinks and 40% on food items. So selling price for drinks, and selling price for food, selling price for drinks is 60% of 2.2, and this will be 40% because this will be the balancing figure. Now what will be the contribution? Contribution in case of drinks and then food. Contribution in case of drinks, in case of this question we have been given that the profit margin is of 60%. If the profit margin has been given as 60%, we will assume that this is the contribution. In few cases we need to assume directly that the profit contribution can be equal to the contribution as well, because we will assume that there is no variable cost. Actually generally what happens is you calculate the profit by adding by subtracting this total cost from the sales, and in this case we have not been given the exact percentage of the contribution or the variable cost, and hence we have assumed that in this case the contribution would be equal to the profit margin. So the contribution per customer in case of food will be 60%, 1.32, 60%, and 0.88, 40%, because the profit margin for drinks was 60% and for food it was 40%. So 1.32, 60%, it will be 0.792, and for this 0.88 into 40%, so it will be 0.352, and so the selling price, the contribution for cafe, and this is per unit, would be 0.792 plus 0.352, it is 1.144. so this is my contribution. Now I can find the break-even point. This fixed cost in this question for cafe was 3600 per month. So I will divide 3600 by 1.144 and I would get the break-even point 3600 divided by 1.144, and this is 3147 customers. What will be the margin of safety? Margin of safety will be upon budgeted sales minus the break-even point. And so what is the budgeted sales over here? The budgeted sales would be, we were given some information over there, here in itself. Let me read it out again. Hellnuts is a fitness center offering pay-as-you-go gym facility. It has a fully fitted gym with the capacity of accommodating 200 users. It also has 100 car parking spaces and an on-site cafe, both of which are only for customers using the gym, and the fitness center has shower facilities for the customers, and Hellnuts provides all customers with a clean towel to use in entry. On entry, it is 360 days a year. It is open for 360 days a year from 7 a.m. Until 9 p.m. Customers pay 8.4 for access to the gym for 1 hour plus unlimited time in the cafe. If the customers want to use the car park, they have to pay an additional one per visit, and 80% of the visiting customers use the car park. Hellnuts has monitoring the number of customers attending throughout each day for month of June, which was considered to be an average month for which Hellnut was open for 13 days, and it has determined that the average number of customers per day is 330 with 40 of these. Okay. Okay, so it is written over here, on an average half of the customers would use the cafe. So the number of customers for gym was budgeted sales for gym was 9,900, and it would be half for cafe. 9,900, 50% of it minus 3,147 upon 50% of into 100, 4950 minus 3147, 4950 into 100. So my first part is done. Now let's jump on to the second part. Second part says that explain what each of the calculation in part A tells Health and Nut about the performance of the gym and cafe. Now this is something discursive, and I'll read it out what it should be. So what it is written in the solution is the gym needs 6,000 customers per month. Over here we had calculated the break-even point. To reach out the break-even point in case of gym, we need 6,000, and in case of cafe 3,147 customers per month were required, okay, in order to cover the fixed cost. How do we achieve the break-even point? It is by getting 6,000 customers for gym and 3,147 customers for cafe. We will be able to cover the fixed cost with these much amount of customers, and hence we will reach out the break even at this point. Each $1 of the contribution after this point generates profit, which is very true. Whether or not these figures are particularly high can be gauged by comparing them to the expected customers 1 month. So this is where the margin of safety is useful. So margin of safety of gym and cafe are quite similar, that is 39 and 36 respectively. This tells that Health and Nuts the extent to which it feels confident about covering the fixed cost and making a profit. Okay, this is a very important line that this tells Health and Nuts. This is the major objective why we calculate the margin of safety, because margin of safety is a point after which the seller can feel confident about covering its fixed cost and making a profit after the break-even point. So this is what Health Nuts has already achieved, and in this instance, its margin of safety is such that even if the customer numbers went down by 1/3, it could still cover it fixed cost. Okay. Now let's talk about C. C part is asking calculate the budgeted weighted average contribution per sales, because there are two types of services being offered, gym and cafe. So they are asking us to calculate the weighted average contribution to sales ratio and the budgeted profit per month for Health Nuts if it closes cafe and opens Scratch instead. Okay, see. So the contribution for gym we had already calculated. It was around 8, right? But what about the number of customers? Because for weighted average we'll have to calculate the contribution mix. So for contribution mix we need to have the contribution for both the services, gym and cafe. For gym it was 8, and for cafe it was 1.144. But I believe that it is not asking, it is saying that calculate the budgeted weighted average cost, weighted average contribution to sales ratio and the budgeted profit for month for Health and Nuts if it closes. Okay, the cafe is closed, so we do not need to concentrate on the contribution of cafe. Instead we need to look for the contribution for the crèche. This is another question. Yeah, so this is for crèche. Now let's read the crèche part. The selling price, what can be the selling price per child? It will be 4, and also the car parking also would be required. Crèche facility, new customers will use the crèche facility. So the crèche is expected to new customers and increase the number of customers by 300%. Okay, so ideally the number of customers which were coming were 330, and if it's saying that it has increased, okay, with 40 customers of this attending during 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and the crèche is open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. so the customers attending between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. were increased by 300. So number of customers would increase definitely. So this means that the number of customers using the crèche is 120. So okay, now let us first calculate the contribution. For crèche, not for crèche, actually for gym, and then for crèche. Contribution for crèche would be 8 for gym, sorry, and for crèche it would be selling price was 4. Is there any variable cost? Yes, so 4 minus 4 minus 0.5 will be 3.5. Now we need to find the contribution mix. For contribution mix we need to have the number of customers as well. In case of gym, we already had calculated the number of customers as we were given the number of customers as 330. But now we are closing out the cafe and the crèche has opened, and so the number of customers coming from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. which were 40 will increase by 300%. So the number of customers would change. It would be 330 plus 40, 300%, and number of days which they are attending is 30. So the number of customers in this case would be 330 plus 120 into 30 days, which is 1350. So the number of customers is 1350. And what about crèche? So the people which were coming between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. were 40, and this has increased by 120%. So it will be 120 in case of gym. So it is 40 into 30%. So contribution mix is 1350 into 8, which is 10800, and 120 into 3.5, which is okay. So we have made one mistake over here. This was this was 40 into 300%, but this was for 1 day. We need to calculate the same for 30 days. So for 30 days it would be 120 into 30, that is 3600. So the answer over here is 3600, and so your weighted average contribution would be 1 to, I don't know what am I writing. Customers were supposed to be written over here, and the weighted average contribution in this case has increased. No, it is wrong. There is some mistake. Let me read out this information clearly, because I forgot to mention about the children. It had said that there are 2 children as well, so each customer is bringing 2 children. So if my so whatever we have calculated, I think we will have to multiply the entire thing by 2 as well, because each customer would bring 2 children, right? So first of all, there were 40 customers who were coming between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and these 40 customers were the customers who were using crèche as well, and it will increase by 30% if we close the cafe and open the crèche. So the number of customers per month per day are 120, and if we multiply it by the number of days in a month, it would come out to be 3600. So each customers would have 2 children, so the number of customers would increase from 3600 to 2, that is 7200, and so my weighted average contribution would be 7200 into 3.5, that is 2520. And similarly, now I will have to calculate the sales mix as well, but for that I need to have the selling price. The selling price in case of gym was 9.2, and in this case the selling price is how much? It is 4. So the sales mix is 9.2 multiply by number of customers 124,200 7,200 into 4 288,00. So weighted average contribution to sales ratio would be this is my. After this, the question was also asking us to calculate the budgeted profit. So how do we get the profit? If we will reduce the fixed cost from the contribution, we will get the profit. But this is asking us to calculate the profit in case of yes, gym and crèche both. So my total contribution was 133,200, and what was my fixed cost? The fixed cost was 8,000 per month. Total fixed cost was 8,000 per month. Okay, so for gym the fixed cost was 48,000, and for crèche it is 8,000 per month. So the fixed cost would be 48,000 plus 8,000, and it would give you 8,000 plus 8,000, which is 56,000. After reducing the same, we will get the profit. So 133,200 minus 56,000, that is 77,200. This is the profit. It is asking us now to advise, which is the C part. Advise health and nuts considering both financial and non-financial factors, whether it should replace the cafe with a crèche, or whether the calculations in part C provide enough information to make such a decision. Okay, so now it is asking us to make a decision whether we should close the cafe and open the crèche or not, with the help of the calculations which we have done in part C. So this is discursive and we'll read it out. With crèche profit will increase by 33,263 to 77,200 per month, an increase of 43,937. However, there are various factors that need to be taken into account. Details of how much conversion from the cafe to crèche will cost has not been provided. Yes, the investment would need to be appraised using a technique like NPV to assess the financial viability. The research for revised customer number is only initial. In this data, realistic and can the number of increase in the number of customers after opening the crèche and closing the cafe, that number of customer can be at the initial stage of opening the crèche, but later on, later figures are not given. It might be that the demand for crèche might decline in the future as well, so we cannot rely completely on this number. Plus, if we need to close the cafe and then open the crèche, the relevant information which we require to calculate the savings which we have, which can be made, or the profit which can be increased, the relevant information or the complete information for that has not been given. Opening of a crèche could put off other customers who want to exercise in a child free environment. Okay, this is a very important financial factor, that there might be customers who might not be willing to work out in an environment where there are plenty of children, so they would want to work in a child free environment. There is no indication that health nuts have taken into account. Similarly, closing cafe could upset many of the customers at times and of the day and lead to loss of their business. This is very much genuine, and the calculations so far performed are not therefore enough to make this decision. So that is for this health nuts. Thank you.